And welcome back, everybody. Masked
I am
Swan
well.
initialized temporal gentlemen. Game 2. Oh, last it is. I was gonna try and do third game till, and then I tried to do 3, and then I gave up and just said, I'm gonna be honest with you all. I messed up. 3 games left of the LJL 2022 regular spring split. There we go. Got it there finally. Got a weird one for you lads. We've got the Fukuoka SoftBank HAWKS Gaming facing off against Detonation FocusMe. And our graphic design and producer, Mr. Chris Edgeworth, he put the Fukuoka Hawks for both the logos. And I thought at first that was a troll. But in reality, I think I figured it out, gentlemen.
You have.
The only winner here is really the Hawks. Because because Detonation FocusMe, right?
Yeah.
They can actually throw anything, and we're always winning.
Yeah.
We're always winning.
This is the best scrim they're going to get, isn't it?
It really is for the Hawks, right? I mean, Hawks get to really try their hardest, and DFM get to go, can we do Ivan mid?
Yeah, I mean, so the thing is, this game has no impact on the standings. Hawks and DFM are locked in the place they've gotten. I'm pretty sure whoever wins this, nothing's changing because there's too many games apart from various people. So in some ways, this game doesn't have the same pressure. Of course, it is still your last game before playoffs, and there's some discussions to be had around what do you want to do as a team here? Do you want to take this seriously? Do you want to not give too much away and try some weirder strats? Either ones you'd like to run but are a little bit out there, or just have fun with it. There are a lot of options here in terms of how you want to play this, and I don't think there's necessarily a right answer. It's what you want to do as a team.
Well, we have been seeing some adaptation coming out from Detonation FocusMe over these last few days, especially. Last round robin for sure as well. And I think you can see some of that choices be played out in their Rascal Jesters games. Obviously, they were not victorious out of 2 of the 3, and I think that's partly where Rascal Jesters are punishing and Detonation FocusMe kind of folding. What's your kind of take on where Detonation FocusMe should come into this matchup, Temporal?
Let's see some spicy 2v2. Let's try and break the formula a bit. I think if you're going to play this sort of game before playoffs and you want information, maybe need to step away from the LJL style, maybe some Zeri, maybe some Varus in the bottom lane. We've seen it, hints of it throughout the season, but let's try something completely different and try and break open a game with it.
I feel like the only person I've been like, oh, just don't give this guy Zeri has been honestly Utapon, actually. And that makes some sense. So maybe you'd want to try and give that up and see whether you can counter it. But I don't know. It depends, again, on how you want to play this game.
Well, it's already been banned out, gentlemen, as pick a ban phase is upon us. So please, just take it away.
Well, there's one question answered. Thank you very much, Masked Swan. The Zeri is still going to be banned away from Utapon, who, for my money, has probably been the best Zeri we've had in the league, which is always a bit of a terror when you've got so many other good players on DFM. Hecker and Rise banned away from the likes of Blank and Dasher, 2 of the best champions with the Tryndamere ban. Temporal, I think this game is going to be taken fully seriously.
A little more standard LJL bans coming through. Indeed, the liners Rel taken away as well. Let's look at 3 power picks there from the Hawks. They will have to try something new against DFM here if they wish to put up a fight at all.
Indeed, and of course, Jinx right now still up, very much a first pick option considering her general dominance in the meta. Harps Tahm Kench also taken off the table, though I say that, and Ebby has definitely played Tahm Kench, but it's not this split current changes, but
not this time.
Stayed the thing.
The
to see what the
last
first pick is,
ban,
one would potentially assume a Jinx here.
The last ban on Kench is actually really interesting. All right, Poppy, sure thing, DFM. You've seen those drafts. You've done it before, and no doubt you're going to see it again and again.
Like, a lot of the things that like Blank would normally run to try and like be aggressive are counted pretty heavily by the Poppy. Things like the Lee said have a horrible time into that champion.
They do. I wonder
Ari's also not pleased.
Not greatly. With that Tahm Kench ban, I thought we were going to see an early rotation bot with Thresh on it. To be honest, that's the best thing you can do with these set of support bans.
I'll throw this conversation out with you because it's something I think has been kind of true globally, is that Thresh's priority has really been dropping over the last patch or so in favor of the Nautilus. Interesting. I was wondering whether you had some thoughts on that? Because you were saying you would still like a little bit more Thresh priority, potentially?
Yeah, so Thresh has a really, really bad time into stuff like the Tahm Kench, where the Nautilus, that point engage with 2 reliable engage cooldowns, gets in pretty easily. But the Thresh, he only has 2 conditional ones. He doesn't, always get the ultimate for engage. He doesn't always find the death sentence. And with that, he's more that utility, that safety, and that's not what you need into a Tahm Kench. Instead, your opponent is playing purely for safety. With only a little bit of turnaround. So instead, you can take the aggression quite reliably. So we see stuff like the Rel, we see stuff like the Nautilus, like the Blitzcrank, like the Leona into the Catfish. But with that taken away, a different trade could have maybe ensued.
Exciting
Not going to be the case here.
stuff.
Oh, the Caitlyn Lux coming through, though. That is exciting.
It's a big power combo towards the bot lane and, into Marble, into Reiner. Marble was superstar rookie coming in, hasn't had the easiest time of it. Of course, Hawks have pulled up from their kind of nosedive earlier on in the split. A Renata being suggested here as well would be similarly aggressive.
You know what we said about maybe not 100%, stuff we've seen for a little bit of scrimming and officials. This is a bit of scrimming and officials, as it goes.
Well, the thing is, I still think this is a legitimate comp from DFM. It's just a different look. It's a more aggressive look, and I'm kind of down for that. Ari will be locked in for Dasher, another player who is finally managing to leverage some of his fairly impressive laning acumen earlier in the split. Wasn't able to get it into wins. Some of the coordination issues with the Hawks were really haunting them, but now with the Nautilus on Reiner to back him up, you've got a lot of ways to make picks happen and potentially punish something like a Caitlyn and a Renata that stumble in the early game if you can make it happen.
Yeah, the Caitlyn Renata is super high execution. The reason I've sort of called it scrimming fish, everyone's like, yeah, but Caitlyn Renata is lane. It is, but when you compare it to Caitlyn Lux, the trade-offs are much, much steeper. If you don't manage to do any drag traps, if you don't manage to push ahead the lane, you could have done that far better with the Lux, who can just throw out a bunch of cooldowns, try and reduce some health bars, and push the lane forwards from there. The lane's so important for Caitlyn. And with that, the second round of bans, we're defending the Ari slightly. We're defending her position as the premier roamer on the map with the Twisted Fate gone. So it will be on DFM now to try and respond. No doubt this is going to be the jungle here, as that is already pulled apart for DFM. So with that, it's going to be on DFM to pull in something cute in the mid lane that doesn't suffer with R5 still open.
Of course, I think it's probably fair to trust Ebby with most blind picks called Kinatu. Historically, pretty good matches up into Ebby. He's been one of those players that can, or at least wants to take it to the king of the top lane here in the LJL. But with the Viego locked in for blank, it was hovered earlier. Now on to both Yaharong and Ebby to decide on their matchups. And see the Narband makes something. Veigar makes a lot of sense in terms of the amount of zone control you now have between a Poppy, between the Caitlyn traps, between the Event Horizon is pretty damn nasty actually around those objectives. Possibly some lane pressure from Ebby, and suddenly you can start controlling the river pretty damn easily.
Pretty easily indeed. With the Narband away, this top lane might take a little bit longer, but if it's Renekton, I'm going to lose my stuff initialized. But oh my god, he's going to do it, isn't he? The absolute mad lad.
I think this would in fact be, I'm just going to say this, I think this might be Ebby's first Renekton game this split.
Ooh, it has commonly ended up in the hands of Yaharong.
He has not played Renekton this split. This is Ebby's first Renekton game.
He's got to get one in there. Right, we forgive it.
And in fairness, I think when you need a little bit of a front line and similarly kind of a bit of zone control, I don't hate it here in the sense that it's a little bit of front line and you can just take it for okay, I'm just going to nullify best I can and turn up into a team fight. It does allow for a Graves pick into it. I suppose there's a world where the Viego gets flexed there, but lane shove likely for Kinatsu with this matchup, even if there are some burst combos for Ebby to work around.
Yeah, we should expect Kinatu to be able to get out of lane first, and it'll be on Ebby to try and find something forwards. I know the Renekton does particularly struggle into Gore Drinker Graves, so we'll have to see whether it is that adaptation or the more standard marksman in the top lane. I did sort of want to highlight, there is a pretty big dynamic with this draft before we go into the game.
Do tell.
The Hawks have an incredible burden of difficulty on their approach. when it comes to them actually getting into DFM, any sort of cooldown burn, and you've got the Poppy's sort of field of denial, we've got the cage from Veigar, and with that, every time that the Hawks actually want to use a cooldown, they actually want to approach, there are multiple things they have got to think about before they use anything, any creativity, and every time DFM have to answer it, they just have to push a button on a 6-second cooldown. So this will be on the Hawks to try and find inventive, creative ways around the DFM sort of, no, you cannot come towards me, and my Caitlyn can still reach you burden, this ball of death that should be unapproachable from DFM.
If DFM get a chance to set up their fortifications in or around an objective, it is going to be so hard for the side of Hawks to get in there. That said, if you can catch DFM mid-rotation to one of those objectives, or control the river yourself, make that vision control between Ahri, between Nautilus, between Viego, you have got a fair amount of pick here, and outside of the Renekton, no one is exactly a tank, and even then, Renekton is that kind of one of those health stackers, a bruiser than a true tank. Randuin's Omen build occasionally aside. I mean, yes, you've got the Poppy, so that's an option. But again, it's a jungle option where you're not going to be as truly tanky as you might be, say, in the solo lane. So you have got ways, particularly at 2 items, to just catch someone out in rotation. Everybody presses R, and they will die.
He will die indeed. Hawks tried, as we sort of noticed in the last game, to attack that bottom lane river bush to try and get that advantage in the 2v2. We used to do it years ago, initialized, I don't know if you remember, running into the bushes at bot lane level one, just be like, we must fight. It's funny how things come around full circle. It will be the Predator Veigar from Yaharong, so backwards and forwards for this Veigar. Will no doubt be maxing that E2, getting that cooldown down as fast as possible. Blitzcrank San does not fancy the Hawks here in this game. That is a big, big differential.
And it's a huge statistical edge, and obviously we're not quite sure what goes into the AI's decision making, but early wards taken out, and of course, yes, you've got the Nautilus for kill combos, but actually in terms of range discrepancy, Harp on this Renata is strictly a range champion. Yes, you cooldowns along, but you can be potentially pretty obnoxious in terms of that range discrepancy. Even so, the early ward onto the red buff means that DFM know where Blank is, and that's not traded out onto Steel, so that gives it easier ankle. And obviously, Blank is pathing away from bot lane, away from the Caitlyn, which is a bold decision, Renata or not.
It's a pretty brave decision. Likely means he thinks there will be a 2v2 in top, but instead...
I mean, it is beyond the Renekton. It is an old DFM special. He would know well enough from 2020.
He would. I don't know. I don't know why he thinks they're going to be pathing top. In any case, a double camp from Steel means that the Poppy will be going slightly faster than expected. Did not expect...
Lands it back onto the trap. Nasty combo.
So
Marvel takes so much HP. But look, here comes Blank, who's done a 3 camp and now thinking about coming down towards the bot lane. Utapon has got flash, has got heal, may need to use one or the other. They're trying to use the minions best they can. Where is Steel? Just about to come into the river. It's going to be too far away. Potentially Marvel could be so low. The ignite goes down, but it's cleansed out. Now Harp's in danger instead. The hop forward trying to get a hold of the kills. Will Steel here get in time? They're going to try and get it out of the heal to buy space, and Blank's gone too deep. Heroically charged away. He's got himself a Blade of the Ruined King, but it's still first blood to Steel. The counter gank arrives in time.
It's not pathing away from bot, it's just getting there a little bit faster. Blank tries to capitalize. We saw the trap just go wide on Marble. Steel's going to look to flash this wall.
Here we go. Steadfast presence. Marble has no summoners, no hope, and it's a double onto Utapon and Steel. That was clean.
They managed to pick up the full 3-peat. Yaharong's going to suffer a bit in mid. That's not quite lethal. The Dasher, the Ahri not rocking the Ignite this game. Instead, the Cleanse means that the kill pressure not quite present. But the bot lane fight ends massively in favor of DFM. This is the initial trade. They get the level 2. They get the Renata hook, but it falls a little short. If that trap lands, the auto reset means death for Marble. They escape that condition. They walk back forwards. This should be telling DFM there's something here. So they call DFM Bobby, they call down DFM Steel, and despite falling a little short, Marble able to cleanse, able to pop the potion just in time. They walk back through, the heal goes through, and then it's actually a time warp tonic potion that puts Harp nowhere near kill range, and Blank, unfortunately, is already way too deep, and he can't keep his head above, but Steel flashing the wall with the audacious charge means that SoftBank Hawks will fall. And in that early trade, DFM go 3-4-0.
Oh dear. Come back onto live to watch Ebby force a flash out from Kinatsu, who was
that's
out of
not
mana and
good.
in a dangerous position. And now with the cannon minion close to tower, I think Ebby's going to feel pretty happy that he's back. He's got Hex Flash. He can do it again. There's no summoners. I think they're done.
Oh, it
There's
lands.
a loyalty program slow. There's a hook, but there's also a steadfast presence. Another kill. It's just rinse, repeat, and it's too much water to keep their heads above water in turn. Marble's dead for a second time, and yeah, you're leaving some camps up on the top side. I don't think he cares too much right now.
I don't think he cares too much at all. Yeah, it's too much. They are not able to continue, and with the Hex Flash, I can just imagine Steel doing this again and again and again. Instead, SoftBank Hawks do go under. They catch the wall. Marble, unfortunately, in perfect position, trying to split from his support. Catch the wall, catches the stun, and with that, a brutal takedown as the trap combo comes through. That's Reiner taken out at 250 from full.
Right,
Blank will
here
try.
we go.
This might be a winning 2v3.
This is the Spectral Maw. That's pretty good work. And now Unipon with the shield from Guardian actually able to walk this out. Minions in the way. Now Reiner's in trouble. He's gone too deep. The loyalty program is there. You didn't want to take that particular deal. Renata is a shark in the negotiations today. Looking for more. Where are the cooldowns at? Continue to trade up best they can. Spectral Maw goes wide Harp with the clean feet. Another loyalty program comes through. The Ignite is down. Another kill to Utapon. That will be the body stolen, but now Harp needs to walk away. Finally shut down, but topside, a Dominus, a steadfast presence, and a dead Graves, who's living up to his own namesake.
Oh, Steel is farming champions, not camps this game. Just manages to make Kinadu's life completely impossible. We saw the last moment he could have dashed, he tried, even though he's bonked by the field. And even though it's a winning 2v3 in bot lane, DFM continue to push it forward. They do lose Utapon. They lose the full capitalization, trading a little too hard with the health bar. But it is still all DFM all the time right now. That is just too much to take for Hawks at this stage.
Might finally punish here. Utopon's sure to die on this one, I think. Yes, you've got Harp. There might be a bailout that buys some space. Utapon actually healing, doing pretty well with the Guardian shield. And Harp's going to be able to back out. The traps come down, and well played there to keep their bot laner alive.
This is really rough. In the 3v2, they've lost twice. Blank is completely out of this game now until he managed to find something. He might still be 11 CS up on DFM Steel, but he's massively behind 3-0-2.
No, handshake
Blank
into the trap, not quite in time. Gonna get out of dodge just about, and Steel gonna take this opportunity to go in and invade. He'll get a blue buff off this because you do have to get the reset. No one's taken any dragons. Herald about to spawn in 40 seconds. It feels a lot later into the game because how many kills and how much domination is going on right now. Yes, there's some CS leads occasionally, but that's about it. You've got about 5 in mid lane, and top lane and a range matchup is even. Bot side, there's a whole massive wave here to claim. Not quite in time from Harp with the loyalty program to keep her dear customer in lane for Renata. Instead, yes, Steel down a camp or two, but I don't think he cares with how much he's completely destroyed bottom top lane.
I don't know. You could be 100 goal behind and 600 ahead, I think is the current state of affairs here. The Hawks are going to have to really find something special to get back in. This is complete domination from DFM. They've been playing through the bot side, both teams, but as we can see, 6 takedowns on this Caitlyn against 1 for Marvel. It's just too much, too little, too late. And I think Ebby being favored here.
He's got Dominus, could think about this. It'd be very aggressive, but I think probably not. Instead, they'll just leave Utapon alone in this bot side. Get a third plate. That's way above expected value. That's probably for the Herald. So that's going to go down. They're going to come top and try and make this one difficult, but I don't know how easy this dive will be. Renata is roaming, so yes, they'll summon the Herald immediately to ensure they do get some gold back onto Marble, but it's getting a little bit difficult at this point. There's the Herald gone. The Eye quickly secured. Nebby happy to play weak side and prevent too much more going down.
Prevents too much more going down. I did think for a moment Yaharong was going to rotate up to that Herald. He was sort of in position. I was like, ooh, Predator, maybe. It does get ridiculous.
He's got some very strong kill combos there. I think he was just like probably a little bit over eager. It would have been, you could have taken that hand check. But if it went wrong, it goes really wrong. And you've already got a winning play on the bot side. The risk is probably a little too much, one would imagine.
I think not fitting in with the sense of scale of this game so far. For sure. Is Steel's barmy? No, Steel's barmy Cinder will not steal the camp. Yaharong manages to get there in time. This is sort of the scale we're at now. SHG are going to have to do something really special. All DFM have to do is maintain the level of play. Hop isn't level 6 yet, but the Predator comes through. Oh, they're dancing. They're thinking about it. They really are. But DFM don't have to force the unforceable.
They thought
here.
about it. That does leave Unipon a little alone towards this bot side. Blank is coming down, but he's failed so many times. Makes this so challenging right now. The Gale Force is already in. Steel's going to be around as well. They know Blank is there because of the harrowed path, and that will force him back away because you do not win that 3v3, I tell you, my child.
The Viego almost a second support here with the current state of his gold economy.
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's
really, really rough.
Hammer.
It's yeah, it's all he can manage right now. And I think even if he goes into his own jungle, I think if he doesn't show up in lane for a decent amount of time, then it's going to be on Yaharong, it's going to be on Steel to just walk in and just murder him immediately. He will manage to get a camp back here, which is really great. This is really good. This is something Blank can look to.
Of course, he doesn't know what's necessarily going on. We can see the missing ping saying, like, probably on these Raptors. There's the cage down. Stun onto Kanatsu with the top side as well. Super much more to write home about, but there we go. Step forward, flash to try and avoid the charm, but it's going to come through anyway. He tries to predict it, doesn't quite work out. So much damage back! No way! Makes that the 1-for-1, and now Blank's in danger. Flash! Heroic charge, and he's down topside. Kanatsu trying to flash out onto the turret. Goes Ebi, can't quite secure it, and Kanatsu will escape with his life, but you cannot do that kind of thing. Yaharong, that was disgusting.
A bit much there. The Veigar just turns it on, turns it around, and while he will fall, all he did was reset Blank's gold value. And that meant that Steel gets another full value kill and the plates. No. This Poppy is rich. He is running straight back down to bot lane. We have the Hex Flash once again. There are 2 control wards in his path, so will not be unexpected. But, oh man, this is so rough for HAWKS.
Blank is roaming down, but I don't think there's going to be much more to write home about. We'll see the replay because the cage obviously went down and then Dasha sees the opportunity. Let's go. And does, in fairness, bait the flash.
Baits the flash. A lot of Aries place the charm behind the Orb of Deception, behind that initial damage to make it even harder to spot. Yaharong respects it, flashes away, but returns the damage, just manages to clip the Ahri, and with the Predator extra damage, able to take him out, able to make Blank overextend way too far, Steel there to capitalize and pick up some extra value. It's really tough to reset your kill gold at this stage. It will enable DFM to continue growing.
Yep, you got a Spectral Maw, congratulations. The handshake is not accepted, that's very rude of you, but Steel gonna throw down some hammers. Might be in trouble here a little bit with the Chompers coming down afterwards, but there is a hostile takeover, making things difficult. Does have to burn the heal, though, off a fairly good use of the turnaround CC, we'll call it. So nicely prevented in that bot side first. We'll call it a win, even if it doesn't actually amount to all that much. But in the grand scheme of things, you take those moments.
You do anything you can get out from DFM to stop it being the easiest of their execution would be great. A little miscommunication meant
there's no flash, there's no ultimate quite yet. There's so much damage coming down. There's still another slice and dive available. Kanatsu is dead to right. The Crocodile claims another.
I think a little eager to just dash away there. Should have probably been looking for the wall, extend Ebi out and away from those extra minions, which makes that kill even juicier for the Crocodile in the top lane. But yeah, any cooldowns that the HAWKS can get here, they've got to try and make a stand somewhere if they still want to participate in this game.
I think it might just be a participation award at this point because DFM are looking pretty deadly right now. Yes, there was one fell play in the bot side, but it didn't really cost them that much, and they've still got a plate left to claim. I don't think they'll get that final plate, which I'm sure is a slight frustration for the Caitlyn, but 4-1 and 2 plus 4 plates I don't think is a bad state of affairs by any means. Hop does have to flash there from the Spectral Maw, which is a frustration, I am sure, but the cage comes down. Dasha has to immediately cleanse through the event horizon.
That is not what you want to do as the Ahri, unfortunately. Caught out a little, and even though they get the flash, they have to trade another summoner back. We need to see just one summoner gone and then out from HAWKS. Do it again, rinse and repeat, and then maybe there is an angle where they can find Steel overextended, maybe an angle where Yaharong cannot escape the approach from Dasha. You have to see these done again and again.
Oh no, he goes over the wall! No. He's in the hole! Will not quite get the kill. That's a flash out from Marble. Beautiful stuff from Unipon, getting over the traps before they armed. Misses the Super Mega Death Rocket as well. That's half the HP on this inner turret gone already.
Just complete class there from Utapon. If that Q would have landed, the Piltover piece would have made, and it would have taken down this Jinx. Arrested in the early game. No Season 2 of Arcane for you. Thank you very much. Instead, it'll just be DFM pushing forwards. Those trades backwards and forwards of summoners now. As long as Hawks are spending, both teams will be in a maintain game state. There will be nothing extra for the Hawks to use. No get out of jail free cards. So we expect to see DFM continue forwards with the empowered teleports now. They should play the sides better.
That's nearly 150%
Yep.
of Marvel's gold. Like, I'm sorry to interrupt. I really am.
No, do it.
That is
Lots.
horrendous.
Lots.
Horrendous discrepancy in bot lane. Full disclosure, my first team all-pro AD carry is Utapon for this split. I think he's been phenomenal. There are arguments for Honey. There are arguments for Sol. I see it. But I just love the flexibility of this player. You can give him things like the Caitlyn, the Zeri, focus him and you get results like this. You can leave him weak side and he'll still be an absolute terror. And I just love the consistency of this guy. Hell, you can flex him top lane and he'll still get wins for you.
So I did jokingly look to see if I could vote Utapon for all pro top.
That would be quite funny. Yaharong is going to be in a lot of trouble. He was a decent size, but he's still going to get in a lot of bother. Flash after the Super Mega Death Rocket. Blank still trying to get forwards. A Flash Dredge Line will finally secure the kill. But have they gone too deep here? Will there be any response? No, there won't in terms of kills, but it does leave Ebi with a full wave on this top lane tier 2. I don't think he'll be able to get too much more than that, but it is a fair loss of objectives and minions for the prize of Yaharong and a tower.
The objective bounty not worth an objective and 2 further towers. This mid tier 1 will fall. Utapon and Harp more than able to take that out, and I can't see the damage on the top side, but nearly certainly worth it as Ebi beating on this tier 2 in the top side, and those give up so much gold if you're isolated right now. They really make you feel rich.
I honestly thought Yaharong got out as well at the end of it. It forced even more summoners.
I thought so too. No fancy footwork, and the flash through from, was it flash from Lino or was it just an absolute
flash dredge line from Lino? Finally got him close enough to make sure the lockdown. But it bought time, it bought space, and yes, it was an important kill. It got more gold onto Blank, who honestly, if you can reset and pick up the Caitlyn, pick up the Renekton, even honestly, and get through all of his cooldowns, I think you have got potentially some way to turn around these fights if DFM overstep. It's not the tankiest composition. If they burn cooldowns unwisely, without some judicious decision making, could end up in a difficult position. Either way, they've got themselves second Herald. They're about to get themselves second Drake. They are already up a heinously large amount of gold, nearly 6,000 at the 17-minute mark, which is very large for this point in the game. We've already seen the item and gold discrepancy, particularly in that bot lane. And I think it really is on Blank Dasher to try and prey on some mistakes to hope you can stall this out a little bit and get to a surprise Baron or something. And even now, Kanatsu about to get run down again. I just don't think there's anything he can do. Not
much at all, as the Herald will force the issue on the other side. Line of thinking about it. I think we've got to see an attack onto Yaharong. We've got to wait for the cage to go. Veigar smartly assigned to the side lane while the major players on mid, so there won't be any pressure onto him down there. Until that flash is back up on Veigar, that is a viable means of attack for the Hawks. It will mean Blank, it will mean Dasher, and that means you give up numbers advantage somewhere else that is uncharacteristic of DFM to just not do anything on the map. Instead, they would likely trade. So doing that in a lull state might be the way forwards here for the Hawks. It's getting more difficult. It is really tough right now as the hook goes slightly wide. Harp not being able to bring that one back. And with that, it's going to have to be something really special. The Hawks are sort of in a 5% position now. This is really, really difficult. And if they pull it back even slightly, that's a huge difference from a team we've seen throughout this spring split.
Don't get me wrong. DetonatioN FocusMe have looked very imperious this game. Every player in the bot side has gone their favor. The only wins that have kind of come through for Hawks have been really the one play bot side, and that came in fairly heavy cost. They got another gank in mid lane, but Yaharong still went 1-for-1. Like, I'm not really sure what they need to do. I mean, using the headcase, looking to be proactive, pairing up your mid jungle, or sorry, your jungle support rather. I know, not quite a mid laner yet. Is perhaps the way to do it. Maybe you can punish Renata right now, who's shoved up with her team. There is a potential angle here for maybe something, but Raptor Camp steals at this point of the game, it's small fries.
They've just decided to swap sides and Death
Oh,
Ball. We'll have
boy.
to see.
Okay,
DFM
maybe
are coming in.
Harp and Steel might face check this as well. This happens. This will be a 3v4. They're going to try and go. If he gets jumped on, he's going to have a dominance. He's going to go down. They're going to have to pull out now. Teleport's coming through, but can HG extricate themselves. They're going to have a 4v4. Marble is not here. They've gone so deep for this kill. Ebby will have a teleport up in 30 seconds when he respawns. Big chunk onto Steel. They do stun Reiner into the wall, though. He goes down. Now it's a 1-for-1. Marble has joined, but will they be able to get out? I asked earlier. I'll ask again. The loyalty program, the hostile takeover. There's no loyalty involved when you're attacking your own teammates will come through, but a big chunk now onto Harp. Doesn't quite go down. Has a bailout, but will fall. And Hawks somehow, some way, come out on top in that bizarre series of map rotations.
A really odd position where they've almost swapped sides with DFM commanding that south quadrant of the jungle, and they do get pushed away, but they take 2 with them. Eddie falls. A little too much. They all only had to put up a unified front there. 4 versus 1, a little too much even at this massive advantage, and huge props to the Hawks who managed to hold it together. That is a hard play to execute.
Really was, and that was inches away from disaster. Steel and Harp were so close. You could see the teleports coming through, but they get away with it. And yes, it was a bit of a flip. Yes, it was a risk, but they need to make plays like that to have a hope of coming back in. And DFM did opt in, and you could understand why with where Hawks were on the map, but they overreached just a little bit. They did get punished. It wasn't the biggest shutdown options around. Yes, Ebby was only 1-0-1 at that point, and he got a decent gold lead, but it wasn't that huge. But it's not the Caitlyn, it's not the Poppy. There we go. That's the person I was looking for who had really big shutdowns on top of them, but they did manage to get some of them. It's another kill onto Blank. It's a kill onto Marble. It's a brief spark of hope.
Yeah, we got to see them not pull the Sengoku now and think they're on even footing after one
still
winning play.
5,000 gold down.
They are still 5,000 gold down. We are still in a really tough space as Fukuoka SoftBank HAWKS Gaming. And it's still going to be moment to moment for them. The Baron now up, the Dragon spawning. There are plenty of things for DFM to push a lane and head towards to lead this dance with. With that, they'll clear out the mid lane. The Hawks are moving back towards this Dragon. They do have priority in the bottom lane. With Yaharong all the way out on top with no teleport, the Hawks have a brief moment to try and find a pick. Maybe they'll try and get onto Harp. Yutapon quite difficult with all summoners and this long range, so they have to pick their target incredibly carefully.
He's got 3 items at this point, and that makes life so difficult for the Hawks. They have at least got control of the river right now, and honestly, DFM might just say, we've got 2 dragons. Don't need the 3rd. Yeah, you can have it. We'll cage, and then Shirelia's the wave into town. They can look for an inhibitor. I don't care about that Super Mega Death Rocket. You cleared some minions. It's not going to save the tower or the inhib. Smart play from DFM as far as I'm concerned.
It will save the Nexus towers. That could have gone horrendously badly.
The thing is, I love that you called that because the thing is that's a really real threat.
It's the extension. It does nothing for the inhibitor.
Dear.
But,
they've got 1 tower outside of their base remaining. It is this top lane tier 2 that's about to get sieged, and you're sieging into so many long-range zone control people. The Caitlyn trap's already gone down on the inner channel. There'll be an event horizon that we put down behind the cage momentarily, one assumes. They're not even going to use it yet. There it is finally, and that tower is gone as well. And Hawks, your map is looking very dark. It's very small right now.
And out. No more trades of jungle quadrants. If you can't leave the base, DFM adapts. They push forwards. They do not fight the dragon. It's you know how bad it is after that dragon going down, which is I think the 2nd or 3rd objective bounty. No sign of them ending. No little rotation of the circle in the bottom right, which says, hey, these are going to come to a close soon. Instead, the Hawks still 6,000 gold behind after all is said and done. And with that, they are getting pushed into their base. It is really rough for the Hawks. They need to try and find picks.
Be very careful, my man.
Trouble.
That's a lethality, Graves. It's not that much tanky. This is a bloodthirster, not bloodthirster. I blame the Ruined King against a team who's got the Ruined King. So much damage. It's just straight auto attacks. Chunky Kanatsu out to sub 200 HP, it felt like there. Now with the Dominus down, maybe they can punish. Blank is around, but it's triaging, it's counter-ganking, it's hoping you can catch someone overextending just a touch, but Ebby refuses to go deeper than that big trade at that point. He gets the ultimate for ultimate trade and prevents an easy shove.
doing this in the jungle is sort of the last hope for Hawks. Oh gosh, Ebby just waits.
Like this as a slice, and the dice forces the flash. Will go quite killed quite yet. Handshake will drag Reiner into the walls of the event horizon, but a primordial burst to secure the kill. Ebby chases down Kinatu, keeps coming back to the scene of the crime. You know the crocodile's lying in wait. Stop walking into the Nile. Blank will walk up. The sweepers come through, trading this one up, but a Blade of the Ruin King versus the Ruin King seems to be winning out for the crocodile, trading out best they can. Bit more healing with the Cold the Meek. The stun is so much damage, it's gonna be close, but finally Blank gets it. It took a lot of work. A 2v1 eventually brings the crocodile down, but all the while the Baron was going on.
It goes on, he buys time with his life, and even though Ebby falls, that is DFM across the map, picking up another kill. They manage to take out Liner, and with that, they take the Baron. They will look to absolutely end this game on this 3-minute power play. We'll see it come through here. Ebby able to get onto Kanadu. A little bit of hesitation, almost attacked a minion, but will commit cooldowns to take this top laner off the map. And with that, DFM should be pretty happy into the Baron. In truth, could have just left the minion wave, could have just absolutely ran away from Blank here, but instead tries to buy as much time as possible, take the fight. Small chance this one works out, but with using the slice and dice away, even instead of 4 extra damage, just makes that little difference. As Blank able to push it through at the end. 300 health or so not a million miles away there for our Lizard Wizard.
And of course, there was the kind of the decision from Evie there is like, well, we're starting Baron, so Blank surely has to be around that, right? If he comes to kill me or tries to fight me, like, A, I can probably give it a good go, and B, we're going to get Baron, so why come fight me? And he does come fight him, and like, I understand, at least he gets the kill. He's 5-2-1 right now, so he is at least something of a threat, but yes, you can get 1 kill in a side lane. It comes at such a hefty cost. Like, they're going to lose another inhibitor turret. They're about to lose another inhibitor. The one in the mid lane will respawn in a minute, so there's at least that. But for now, at the very least, there are super minions causing serious trauma. This inhibitor down in the bot lane about to fall, one would assume, once the next wave comes crashing in. And Steel plays frontline, and I don't know what Hawks can do. It's a Hail Mary at best.
Hail Mary at best. That slight delay, critically important. It means if this does go wrong, the Baron wouldn't be up, but the engage comes through anyway. Reiner gets caught and yanked.
Is there. It's the real world, so it's annihilation. There's no alternative universe where that mana might have survived a little longer. Another kill comes through. Support's down. That's your engage option. It's a 5v4. 2 inhibitors down with Baron on top. The Keeper's verdict comes out, but doesn't really land much of a judgment. Double cleanse, and the flash forced out of Dasher as the event horizon comes down. Nexus turret falls. That was a Gale Force to try and get some damage onto Harp. There's no mana left on your Jigs, no rockets available. Blank in the Harrow path has to ultimate away from more damage. The loyalty program comes through, will force Marvel and Kanatsu to trade back at each other. DFM at this point actually could decide to retreat as the health bars are a little low, and Dasher with the Spirit Rush, making things a little bit dicey. No puns intended with the names of a few of our LJL players, ringing remarkably similar, but that is a devastated break. It's not quite a death knell, but you can hear the death rattle from the Hawks right now.
DFM not in a rush. They know how much this game is in their command. Ebby will get out of here just fine. Blank won't be able to close that distance. But by taking that bottom inhibitor a little delayed, by making sure Udapon wasn't auto-attacking off of cooldown, and as soon as possible, it means that that will actually be up for the next Baron. So they ensure their long-term winning here. There are no losing options now for DFM. They've just managed to not push it too fast, not push it too far. And with that, I can't see the Hawks leaving their base and getting back into this meaningfully.
725 AP on the Veigar,
who has 230 stacks. Guys!
And he's got a death cap. There's a big teleport coming in, and Reiner and Dasher have gone very deep for this. There's a Spirit Rush, but no cleanse, no flash, and Reiner is left out to the wolves, or at least the phenomenally evil Yordle. Utapon's here as well. There's a charm that will stop too much of an easy chase down, and Dasher gets back to base, but you've just lost your support. You're in a 5v4. Yaharong will teleport to bot wave to secure this one coming in. Maybe you can chunk him here, but he's got Event Horizon. Oh, no, oh, no, oh, no. The Primordial Burst sends Kanatu back to the Stone Age. I don't care you've got a shotgun. It doesn't do anything to that man. Sorcery over shotguns every day, apparently.
Apparently, the Wizards just too strong. DFM will push this one forwards. They will attack the Nexus. They will boop Marble away.
Game, set, match, 19-2, Detonation Focus Me. Even with some games dropped to having Ebby be ill, to a fantastic game from Rascal Jesters, they have been imperious over this split. And the Hawks, their wings were well and truly clipped in this one. GG to Detonation Focus Me.
I don't think we can say we're surprised, Initialize, at the result of this game. Maybe surprised with that early game sort of aggression from DFM. They've not been completely off at the split, but that looked clean. That looks premeditated.
Fantastic. I mean, honestly, what it was again was another draft, another look. It was the Renata, which we were a bit surprised about, with the Caitlyn, which, you know, obviously Udapon has shown before, showed it once the split, looked very good on it. But it's another look to the style of play. It's, you know, the Renekton again for Ebby, back to an old faithful to show another option in that top side and saying, okay, well, if you can't blind pick against this still, what are you even doing? And that is a terrifying thing to see. I have not seen DFM look this flexible in terms of play style, never mind champion pool, in a very long time, even last year.
It's dangerous, and it's probably going international. We'll catch you after the break. We'll be back with Mass One to break this one down.
Sorry, Len.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Detonation Focus Me are victorious over the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming and Initialize.
Yeah.
Was there ever any doubt, really?
No. I think once we saw how it was being played, we said, ooh, a little bit of a spicy draft, you know, the Renata, this kind of thing.
Well, let's talk about that.
Like, yes, we could talk about that.
Yeah, do it.
Renata is an interesting champion. I've been talking a lot with Gulborg, who put a lot of time into this champion when she came out to really get on top of it. And rightly so, because I think she is one of these supports that will turn up as something to try and throw a gotcha out there and does work with Caitlyn. Couple things to keep your eye on. And like, I'll play analyst for a moment before I open up. But the point with Renata is really strong if you can get her out of the lane. Really, really terrifyingly strong. Because bailout and of course the hostile takeover, the later the game goes, the more deadly they become because it's so easy with so much damage to get a lot of work done with those abilities. In lane, she's ranged, she has some hooks, but her cooldowns are massive. like 15, 16 seconds on some of those abilities. So if you're using them aggressively, there's big windows to punish. Big windows to punish. And you saw Blank try and do that in this game early on with the kind of level 3 cheese gank from blue quadrant and then down. But when you kind of play with the Guardian, when you play with the kind of respect to cooldowns that DFM showed, you can outplay. And from there, it's still a ranged matchup with a Caitlyn. You see what that happens with things like the Karma and the Lux, even if it's slightly less dominant.
You can't approach them, especially a champion who literally at 6 says you can't approach me with one ult. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting ahead of myself because you alluded to honestly something that I came in when we came into our break and we're talking about the game and how we're going to talk about it on the desk. Temporal. This game felt over at 7 minutes, like well and truly done and dusted, and I might have been slightly procuring food for myself. So give us all a reason why at 7 minutes it was all done and dusted.
So we've just seen it. We could have just skipped to the main stream, but never mind. No, we're gonna do the audio description for everyone at home. You feel free to tab. You'll still hear me, but
That's true.
the 2v2 for the Renata is just pretty good. It's not Lux. Lux is like the primo 2v2. You can't escape the poke unless you're well out of XP range. You can't stop the binding. It will go through one minion and go a bit further. Renata has a similar condition where she can pull someone back onto a trap, similar to the classic Thresh Flash Flay and throw the trap at the Flay destination. You do the same thing, but with better range from the Renata, so it further increases the Caitlyn. This was attempted by DFM. They get the level 2 first. They sprint forwards towards a retreating HAWKS, but unfortunately Marble wasn't pulled back quite far enough onto the trap. There's a bit of extra range. Otherwise it would have been dead immediately. The play would have been bunkered. Instead, the Viego comes down. Blank tries to respond. Poppy runs all the way from blue side blue buff all the way down, did double camps, went a little bit quicker. Otherwise, this wouldn't have been possible, likely, and manages to... So Blank comes in, pushes the duo backwards, and Marble is still on like 50 health.
Yeah.
So it's pretty rough, but as long as he doesn't take a hit, it's good.
But he had to flash cleanse from the trap. That's the only reason he didn't get armed on it. That's the only reason. And then honestly, even though you're running a slightly risky draft in some ways, Renata Caitlyn is always a focal point. The fact you do it, and then you have Steel's really nasty bad thing. He just wraps around and hex flashes over the wall.
After that play, wrapped around.
It's done. Utterly done. That is an example of how, as a jungler, you can just stamp a game flat.
And I want to just
managed to catch Marble up that wall like 3 times.
And I want to just say, gentlemen, I just want to say, Blank felt so lost in this match versus Steel. It felt he felt very far. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that was the critical moment because early on was where it really mattered. And I just have to bring it back. DFM kind of just played a standard comp for themselves to a degree. Like they had some adaptation. Like
sure,
they have definitely
sense. There's nothing super crazy in there. You're not like seeing, I don't know, Cartha's bot or something like a Caitlyn lane. Oh, that's not unusual. We've got a fake on mid. That's coming up. Renekton for Ebby.
And this is kind of similar, Sam. This is kind of similar to that Yorick game that they played previously. They're doing adaptation, but they're still keeping a core identity, which is very worrying for anyone in Juggernaut match scenarios, potentially.
I think what it's showing to me more than anything is, look, we've got the champion pool. But we've also got the ability to kind of change the priority that Steel gives lanes, is the way I'll put it. Because actually you can just leave it so Ebby is by himself. You can do it so you play through him. You can play through mid. You can hard focus bot lane, like full on camp down there, hex flash over the fake wall kind of like camp, and look really good doing all of them with all this kind of semi-adaptability within that play pattern book. That's really scary. And I think coming into playoffs and potentially further, I think it's fair to say they are the favorites for MSI for us. I am pretty excited. I'm pretty convinced at this point by how good DFM are right now.
I'm pretty convinced. Yeah, they showed their core identity. Still doesn't have to change too massively. Conversely, for the HAWKS, as soon as you ban Rel, it seems their identity is out the window. And they're going to play Cardboard. And funny enough, Cardboard not really up to the unstoppable force that is DFM right now.
Or you take the Renata away, because Reiner has been the only other support player who's been having it banned against them a lot. So apparently DFM are just like, we'll just ban your Rel and take it. And
a hostile takeover, one might say.
And I honestly, to end it off, HAWKS don't take this win to heart too much. You've got a lot of matches ahead of you until you have the opportunity to face against DFM again. Move forward with this. You've made playoffs. Let's see where we can go from here. But gentlemen, you're going to be departing from me. I want to get your predictions for Rascal Jester V3 and Axis very quickly, facing off against Crest Gaming. Where are those matchups going to go? Are V3 going to get their first win?
Rascal Jester are about to crush it and make sure the V3 go winless. CGA, I think, have the edge over Axis, but CGA are CGA, and there's a world where they just don't know how to engage again.
I think this next match, not really a match. I think I'd like to congratulate Rascal Jesters on finishing their split with another victory in the final day. It's already happened.
Let's move on. Axis, the novels.
So Crest should be favored here, frankly. Kassin is my third All-Pro jungler. Dude's been on a tear.
Very good.
Really great split. I unfortunately have this coin, and bear with me. I've got one side for CGA, and then I've got a blank one for Axis. I'm going to throw that on the floor real quick. Congratulations, Axis. You managed a comeback victory in the final game of the spring split.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a short break. But when we return, Middle Cot and a random custom minion will be joining us to end out these final 2 games. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. Thank you, Initializer Tempora.
What a spring split. Take it away, guys.